Welcome to Two Giant Goofballs, a New York Giants podcast. Are you a goofball that loves Giants football? If so, sit back and relax as we talk about the team that both excites and frustrates us so much. And now, here are your goofball hosts, Drew and Rob.
Welcome, fellow goofballs, to Two Giant Goofballs, the New York Giants podcast. I am Drew, joined as always by...
Me, Rob. Oh, let's get down to the show because we got some news for you today.
Oh, yes, it's preseason time. Finally, some
Preseason.
actual football. Listen, we love to give you guys the updates on training camp and OTAs and all because we know you all like it. I mean, let's be honest, it gets decent hits on YouTube and all, so people must be looking forward to watching it.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a whole lot more fun to talk about a game than it is. This person caught a pass. That person caught a pass. This person blocked so-and-so. So we got some real freaking football coming, guys.
Oh, yeah.
It's time.
Remember, week 1 of preseason, we're going to be like, dang it. Is it another 3 weeks to the regular season yet or what?
And that is the problem. When I say, like, ready for football, like, this is, like, semi-football, like, more than
ready for 1 quarter of football.
But yeah, but we're gonna go over the stuff that's gonna be fun and interesting to watch here in the game overall. So, Giants released the first depth chart. We got all kinds of stuff. Plus, you know, we got to start off with the fact that, you know, there was some fun today. We got the joint practices started here with the Lions leading up to the game, and to quote a certain song, everybody was kung fu fighting, and those cats were fast as lightning. Because damn, they were fighting. Like, yeah, like if there was like a character from Forrest Gump at the practice, it'd be Lieutenant Damn, because there was fights left and right, guys.
Lieutenant Damn, you ain't got no F's to give.
Someone's in the comments like, it's Lieutenant Dan, not Damn. We know. But yeah, there was 3 fights during the practice. 3 fights, and you know, it's listen, last year we did the same.
I was about to say, at least
practice.
At least after watching Hard Knocks and talking about how David wants some dogs, at least he showed some dogs in his practice today, because last year they were kittens.
Yeah, like we weren't even kittens last year. We were like little baby lizards or something. I don't know what to
eggs.
Like, yeah, it's crazy. I mean, we got our butts handed to us last year, guys. If you remember, we had a shared training camp there with the Lions. That was the talk the whole entire time, is that the Lions came in physical, the Lions came in ready. Well, guess what, guys? Look what kind of season the Lions had. Now, I'm not saying the Giants could be physical and repeat that success. That'd be great. I won't complain. Don't get me wrong. I don't think it's necessarily realistic. But that being said, the fact that we actually looked like we had some huevos to us there at that point, the fact that we decided to go ahead and, you know, show a little kahunas at that point and fight back and be a little physical ourselves there, and the Lions couldn't take it. I liked it.
Yeah.
I liked it. Yeah. I mean, one of the plays...
After they played us last year, preseason, right? They come in, like, it was, like you said, they kicked our butts. We played in regular season. Like, it wasn't a good thing. Like, it was... The Lions beat us.
Yeah.
But they probably came in expecting the same old song and dance. And guess what? They came into a rude awakening.
Yep. And instead
they
of
woke up in the wrong side of the cat box.
Instead of us playing Aerosmith's same old song and dance, we instead played Olivia Newton-John's Let's Get Physical. Physical.
Physical.
I think that was Daniel Jones in the leggings. But yeah, I mean, one of the 3 fights, Amon-Ra St. Brown was getting a catch there, and as soon as he caught the ball, he kind of just stopped, and Dane Belton went and smacked the damn ball out of his hands, basically. Listen, it's a live ball. I want these guys doing that kind of stuff in games. So why would I not want them doing that in practices? I guess.
Yeah, we talked about this last year, too, because, like, you're going to play the way you practice.
Damn straight.
Anyone that competes, they know that. You're going to, the way you train, the way you practice is the way that you're going to come out and compete.
Yep.
Majority of the time.
Yeah, and Amon-Ra St. Brown took a little offense to that, and he pushed him. Next thing you know, there's a whole entire thing going on. And listen, heat in the moments, just saying that out loud. Like, no issues with the players at that point either side. Like, I want a little heat on both at that point there because
You talking about the heat of the moment? Are you talking about Asia? Or are you talking about Amon-Ra St. Brown?
wow, I don't even know who sang that song. We got random song references in this segment now, but like for St. Brown both and for Belton, this is a it's a heat of the moment thing where you just lose you lose yourself a little bit there, and to quote Eminem. And
I was going to say, we're going to go for another one.
And it just happens. And listen, you want that from your team. Like, you so should want that from your team. You want people to get a little excited, to get a little fiery. And the biggest one of all of these fights that I loved, and listen, there's been all kinds of people talking about how they don't like it today. Oh, this is the one guy who shouldn't get into a fight. And that's Daniel freaking Jones. Because, listen, that should be his nickname now after this. Daniel freaking Jones.
Well, it should be something else, but YouTube won't let us put it up.
Yeah, they will, but they'll hit us if we curse too much.
Yeah.
But, there was a play in there where Daniel Jones took offense to one of his linemen getting pushed when he thought the play was over. And DJ went in there and pushed the guy right on back. And you know what I had in there going at that point? I had T.O. crying, go, that's my quarterback. That was the image that came to mind. Like, people talk all the time about Daniel Jones as a player. And again, listen, if you want to knock him for some of the stuff he does on the field as far as reading defenses, some of the throws, I get it. Like, none of us here on this show are going to complain when you do that. Like, we're going to sit there and say that, yes, these are valid points you're making. But what we've said all along is, if you take the football play itself out of it, which I know sounds stupid, he's everything you want in a quarterback. And
he's a leader of men.
Exactly that. If you don't think it matters whether or not you are a leader of your team at the quarterback position, you're kidding yourself. It is part of the equation.
Yeah, it 100% is. I mean, I guess look at what happened with the Patriots. Although they had a whole bunch of quarterbacks, but like, look at the last couple years of Green Bay with Aaron Rodgers there.
Yeah,
he didn't lead those people.
Here, I'll give you the example.
But did they though? Did they?
They still got the NFC Championship game. We take that in a freaking heartbeat. So I'll give you the example of a guy. And I'm going to get a little slack for this myself here, but I don't care. Kirk Cousins. Very talented quarterback. He is talented. The man is not a leader, straight up. The man does not have that recognition of being clutch, rallying a team around him, going for the big win. He just doesn't have it. Do you want that? Because you saw when those two went against each other in playoffs, what happened. GJ was up to the challenge, and Kirk Cousins forgot what down it was and what yardage he had to get to. That's what happened. So, it was.
Yeah, there's a difference between being liked by your team and being the leader of your team.
Oh yeah, and they like him. Listen, the Cousins is liked. You're right. 100%.
Yeah,
but is he the leader? No.
I just want to make sure that's noted.
It's a very good note. It's a very good note there. But DJ literally has the ability to lead the team. Now he has to have the play to match that as well. That's part of that. Like, he needs to have a better play than he had last year, because you can be the best leader in the world. If you have shit play, no one's going to follow you. That's the truth. Because they're going to get frustrated. Guys want to win. It affects their it affects how much money they make and bring home to their families. It does matter.
It does matter. You're not wrong. But, I mean, look at Henny last year. He led the Commanders. Didn't play well for him, but he led them. The team rallied behind him. Let's also look at
Henny.
What came to mind, like, when you were talking about that, is like Chad Pennington. It was like, the guy didn't have the arm strength. He didn't have everything there, but he had the knowledge of football.
He's a leader.
And the team rallied behind him.
He's a leader.
So, and like he was smart. He had smart. Yeah. He had the football IQ. He had the leadership. He just didn't have the physical attributes to be a great quarterback.
Yes. Now I got to read you guys the quote of the day in this whole thing, and it's from one Spider-Man, Brian Burns, talking about Daniel Jones getting to the fight. He said, "Oh Lord, Daniel got jiggy with it. Daniel was out there with it. Yeah. I'm going to need him to back up. Let his O-line handle that. Daniel is a competitor. He's a fighter. I don't think anything less from him, but I don't need him in there. I don't need him to get hit. Keep him healthy." And
I mean, he's not wrong.
he's not, but I love it. Like, I seriously, that's go in there, DJ, because you know what? When you got a lineman that you're protecting, and then later on they got to protect you, and they see that you're willing to do it back, that matters.
Oh, it goes so far.
Don't think that. You just don't freaking. Not even like you don't know football.
Human connections,
basic psychology, like common sense. So love to see it. Love to see the fact that we're fighting. Love the point of being scrappy at that point. There, like, listen, we were any scrappier, we'd be a little puppy on a TV show with a pup named Scooby Doo. Okay,
yeah,
like, that's where we at. See if we get the Scrappy Doo reference. I figure we made enough music references here. But yeah, like I said, guys, I don't expect us to have the same kind of year that the Lions had, but I love the fact that we're fighting with them, because that tells me we're probably going to maximize the talent that we have in this roster.
100%.
Because we don't have nothing. We just don't have a lot.
Well, we got a lot more compared to last year.
That's not saying much.
We also have a lot more compared to 2 years ago, and we also won a playoff game 2 years ago.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. I'm not saying we can't get to the playoffs. I'm not saying we can't win a game perhaps in the playoffs. I'm just saying
we're probably not going to lose to the 49ers in
the championship game. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's all I'm saying. I'm trying to keep it realistic while being somewhat excited. So, speaking of the talent, let's go over that depth chart here, because the Giants released their first depth chart today, guys. And, of course, we're going to start off with the offense. Got to start off with the offense. And there he is, Daniel Jones himself. Looks like he's about to cry. I don't know why he does. He just does.
That's my old line. That's my old line, man.
He does. Some of the pictures and angles of him, just like, someone's like, what's going on? Who took that shot? It's like, you know, everybody has that one friend who takes horrible pictures. It's like every single one who takes pictures of him is that friend. It's crazy. So anyway, the offense here. So obviously we start off with the QB situation there. No surprises whatsoever. Daniel Jones, number 1, Drew Lock, number 2, Tommy DeVito, number 3. So obviously, for those who didn't hear last week, Nathan Rourke got cut, so he's not in the picture anymore. We're down to the 3. Running back situation. This is where I thought it was a little bit interesting here.
Yeah.
So, Devin Singletary, number 1. I think that's not a surprise whatsoever.
No.
Afterwards, number 2, Eric Gray. And I'm wondering if that's purely because of the fact that he has been on the team last year. You know,
maybe
the team seems to have you're going to earn your spots as a rookie kind of mentality this offseason. And I think this is part of that. We'll get another player, a big rookie that's not considered a starter right now when we talk about another position here later on. But that's what I feel like is going on, because there's only one rookie. I'm going to give you a heads up that's listed as a starter right now. You can guess who that rookie is.
I was going to say, if you can't guess it, you haven't been following the podcast.
Exactly. Or anything Giants whatsoever, basically.
Yeah.
After Eric Wright, Tyrone Tracy Jr., number 3. Dante Turbo Miller, number 4. Go for it, Rob. I know you're doing.
It's turbo time.
Yeah, maybe. I'm straight. Then Jashaun Corbin, who we'll talk about in a little bit, because they actually cut him right after they put this out. And then Jacob Saylors. Remember, we got him from the UFL there. So, he's not going to be, he's Papa the Sailor Man that we got up in the ocean. Both them in the 5th spot. So, we'd be back down to 4 running backs now, since we just cut one today, even though we put this out. I don't know why they did that. Let's put out a depth chart, and then 5 minutes later, cut somebody that's on the depth chart.
Did you
make much sense?
Not plan to cut him, or was this like we don't want to hurt their feelings, so let's put them on before we cut them?
Yeah. Did someone not get the memo? Now I still think Eric Gray That's what we're going to talk about here really in this whole thing. Eric Gray, whether or not he's on this team is going to depend on how good Tracy and Miller are. I think
100%.
that if those guys are looking decent even, not great, just decent even, he might not make the roster this year, guys. And that sounds a little weird to say of a second-year player. There's a very good shot he doesn't make the roster in my eyes because he's been a very disappointing rookie year. The Giants already admitted last year they basically picked him early because they wanted a returner. And guess what he sucks at? Returning. So therefore, you couple that with the fact that, let's be very frank, guys, he didn't look great as a running back last year either. He also didn't have a ton of snaps. So I'm not willing to give up on him 100% yet because of that reason alone. But 17 rushes, 48 yards, 2.8 yards per carry average. So you sucked at running the ball, you sucked at returning the ball, and you were drafted to be a returner and a running back. Not a good rookie year.
Yeah.
Not a good rookie year. So Tyrone Tracy, though, he's the complete package as far as a third down back. To see how he does at the next level as far as a blocking, running back there and pass protection, because pass pro is something a little new to him since he's only been a running back for a couple of years, but he's got the hands you want there in third down. And we all know my affinity for Turbo Miller there. That's the guy that we are rooting for big time. So just a great story. It's just a great story.
And not just because, I was about to say, not just because I love saying Turbo Time.
It really, like I said, it's just I want to root for the kid because everything he's been through in life, not just football but outside. But it's like, and then like I said, Saylors, I don't think has a shot in hell of making the team. I really don't. I think he's just a camp body. So
most likely,
the four you're looking at there at that point, and to be honest, one of them is probably going to go. It's about if they go entirely bye-bye, or they go onto the practice squad bye-bye. I'm sure they probably would put one of them on the practice squad. Lean you towards Turbo because of the fact he hasn't played in forever and probably has a little bit of rust on him. But we'll have to see these guys play this week. Wide receiver. No shocker. Malik Nabers, the one rookie that's listed as a starter. Wan'Dale Robinson. And then for some reason, and I don't know if there's undecided who they want to list as the third receiver, and they're trying to lead that into a wide receiver competition. There is clearly whoever thinks otherwise is just kidding themselves. Jalin Hyatt and Darius Slayton both listed and the team number one at the third wide receiver spot. Now, second team, Miles Boykin, which I thought was a little shocking. I didn't expect him there that high. Isaiah McKenzie and Isaiah Hodgins. So, I think that's a little crazy. Miles Boykin is not who I expected. I expected either Allen Robinson or Dennis Houston, who's quietly had a very good camp. One of those two to be in that second team spot at that point there. So interesting something to keep an eye on because Miles Boykin is not somebody that we had on our radar as a guy to make this roster, to be very frank. Not to say it's impossible, but it's not a guy that we went, Miles Boykin, he'll make the roster, Third team, Dennis Houston, the aforementioned. Gunnar Olszewski, who hasn't caught a pass in many years. And Allen Robinson, the second there. After that, Isaiah Asante, the undrafted rookie free agent, and Bryce Ford-Wheaton, last year's undrafted rookie free agent on the fourth, and Jon Jiles, another undrafted rookie free agent this year, on the fifth team all by himself.
All by himself. He's going to be cut all by himself.
Listen, some of these guys, especially a rookie, if you're going to hold on to somebody, you're going to hold on to a rookie from a small school. That's what you're going to, let's be honest, that's where you're at there. Jon Jiles, he had an uphill battle to begin with. West Florida, the guy came from. West Florida. Not exactly the powerhouse school. So if you're going to give a guy a chance in a practice squad to develop and see what he does, that's the guy you give it to. Tight end. Starting tight end. Daniel Bellinger. Here's where things get a little funky.
Very funky.
I expected Bellinger to be the first one. I really did. Because I don't expect him to hand a starting job to a rookie.
But it got a little, like you said, a little funky, a little spicy, a little saucy, if you will.
Tight end 2. Lawrence Cager. Now, keep in mind, Lawrence Cager is one of those guys that it's hard to judge him 100% because a couple years ago, he got converted from wide receiver to tight end. He's still learning the position, guys. And he's been able to produce not a lot, but something on the NFL field while he's learning the position. So you never know what's going to happen with him. Third up, Chris Manhertz, the veteran blocking tight end. Number 4, Theo Johnson. This is a little shocking. They put him this low as the 4th tight end on this list here. And you got to wonder, part of this is the fact that he came into training camp hurt. They only had like a week of time with him in camp at this point. You know, is it fair to put somebody right in after being in a week ahead of some of these guys that have been practicing the whole time? I don't know if that's the right answer or not, because I don't know how the rehab going or how he got hurt or anything like that, you know? But
yeah, I mean,
your number
I wouldn't be
2
surprised. Yeah. I mean, obviously this roster is going to change. These spots are going to change.
Oh, huge.
And I wouldn't be surprised if his spot changes real fast.
Yes. And I'm curious because of the fact that he's number 4 makes me think we're going to see a good dose of Theo Johnson in the preseason game here coming up on Thursday. So after that, then they had Jack Stoll and Tyree Jackson both on the 5th team. So, you know, interesting because there's been talks about keeping 4 tight ends potentially this year. And you think Bellinger, Cager, Manhertz, Theo Johnson, you got 2 guys that are more known as blocking tight ends. One does catch a little bit in Bellinger. And you got 2 guys that are more thought of receiving tight ends, and Cager and Johnson, with Johnson, you know, having some blocking abilities. So you got a nice mix there if it is how it ends up there. Let's go to the offensive line. The thorn in our side. Our Achilles heel, so to speak, but like if like the foot was 90% heel. The largest.
I was going to say it for, or if Achilles was, you know, actually like your ACL.
Yeah. Oh gosh, don't even say those words or letters, whatever they are, numbers, those letters,
those things.
Left tackle, Andrew Thomas as a starter. I'm a little shocked. Okay.
Yeah, this came out of left field, not left tackle. Didn't know.
Yeah. And then Yadni Kajust next after that, and then Matt Nelson. I'm a little shocked Nelson's number 3 on that. You know, Kajust definitely doesn't have a ton of history necessarily of playing, whereas Nelson, again, was a swing tackle for the Lions. But that's not upsetting to me. That's just like them figuring out their depth based on how people are playing in camp and stuff like that. Nelson is not the guy that I'm like, I can't believe he's number 2. Like, this is not a Theo Johnson situation. Theo Johnson
it's
probably should have been number 2. But again, I think that's them kind of trying to reward people that have been practicing the whole time. I think it's one of those kind of situations. Left guard, Jon Runyan Jr. starting, which is nice. So they've officially told everybody he's going to start a left guard instead of right guard, which is where he wants to be. He said he wants to be there. So right move, good to go there. Second up, Jalen Mayfield. And then third up, Marcellus Johnson is who's got there. Now that's an interesting one there. So he's been mostly he was a left tackle in Eastern Michigan. Didn't really play guard really. So they're trying to convert him over to a guard, it seems like that. And that screams to me practice squad all day long. Because you got a guy trying to convert over a different position. He comes from a smaller school. Yeah. So he did go play at a larger school before the smaller school. He just couldn't see the field. That's why we didn't have very high hopes of him coming out. So center. John Michael Schmitz is still considered the starter. Now, the only reason I say that like that, still considered the starter, is because Greg Van Roten, who we'll talk about in a little bit here, has been playing center almost exclusively at camp because JMS has been out with his shoulder injury still. So I was a little shocked the way they did that there because Greg Van Roten is not the backup. It's not that JMS is the starter. It's that Greg Van Roten is not considered the backup on the depth chart. Jimmy Morrissey is, the former Texan. And then third up is Austin Schlottman, who I would have thought would be the backup center just because of the fact that he played very well in Minnesota when he had the chance to play. at the center position specifically, thanks to Bradbury's multiple back injuries he's had the last couple of years in Minnesota. So, a little bit of a shocker, but, Morrissey they signed pretty quickly. So obviously they like something that they saw in there. Right guard, Aaron Stinney, they still have his starting. Now, he was playing left guard for most of the time here this past, season. It was past training camp here. So interesting there. Greg Van Roten as the backup. Now, it doesn't take a genius to figure out the plan probably is to have Greg Van Roten start at right guard to play alongside Eluemenor, who we played alongside last year in Las Vegas. We're basically stealing the right side of the offensive line from Las Vegas. So, next up after that, Jake Cubis, who is the another undrafted rookie free agent. Now, this is a guy that definitely, I'm telling you guys right now, if he does not make the roster, he 100% will be on the practice squad, assuming nobody else plucks him. This is the kid we got out of North Dakota State University, so you're talking about a very much a smaller school at that point there. There's a lot of people who have a lot of respect for him already in the building. And he's already ranked higher than Marcus McKethan, who was an actual Joe Shane draft pick a few years ago. Because he's next on that list. That's not good for McKethan.
No.
Yeah, when the undrafted rookie free agent from not even a Division I school is now beat you on the depth squad. Not good, guys.
No.
Hope you guys get a chance to say goodbye to McKethan before he leaves. Just saying. And like I said, Jake is a guy that people have liked, so I do want to give him the credit for it. I don't want to just knock McKethan for it, but Jake Cubis is the guy that people have liked in the building. So, right tackle, the guy who should have been starting there from the day one, Jermaine Eluemenor, is officially on the depth chart as number 1. Joshua Ezeudu, number 2. Joshua Miles, number 3. No word yet if Jermaine Eluemenor is going to change his name to Joshua just to make it easier, so we know who's playing right tackle at all times, no matter what.
Yeah, it's always Joshua.
Evan Neal is not listed on the depth chart because of the injuries. Because he's on the injured list there, in case anybody's wondering. And yes, definitely a little frustration as there's our friend Marshall Green there of the Chat Now Giants channel was talking about that in their show today, about the fact that basically he hasn't practiced now in almost 2 months. And no one really knows what's going on with him, basically. So, I want to give him a little shout out there on the show, though, because he gave us a shout out on their show. So I want to return the favor there. Good guy. We'll have to get him back in the show again soon. We've had him on the show before. Let's get into the fact that we should look at this offensive line, guys. There should be some happiness here, guys. This is a whole lot better than last year.
So a lot more depth, and it's a lot different.
We've said it before. We've gotten strange looks for saying it. Like we were on with, Talking Giants a couple weeks ago, and, Bobby Skinner, another friend of the show there, was talking with us about the line, and he definitely seemed to disagree with as far as the depth. Let's be honest, he did. He didn't see that the optimism that we have for it, and that's fine. We can disagree without having issues. Everybody's entitled to their opinion. To me, I look at this and I go, damn, we got some people here. We got some depth. Like if somebody gets injured, which is, I hate to say it, guys, it's going to happen. It's going to happen. A, this is the NFL, and B, we're the New York Giants.
It's a contact sport.
It's going to happen. We have a guy like Van Roten, who's right now considered a backup, who could play guard, who could play center, play either one well. Josh Ezeudu, I wouldn't say he's great, but I'm okay with him playing at tackle if he has to at that point there. And even if Andrew Thomas gets hurt, I'm not going to whittle a bit there. Then Jermaine Eluemenor just moves over to left tackle. That'd be the logical place for him. He's played there before. He's played everywhere on the football field, on the offensive line at least, except for center. So I have no problem with that. So, like I said, I think if you look at this, check out the offensive line this year compared to last year. check out the wide receiver group this year compared to 2 years ago. You can even make the case for the tight ends. Like, this is not a bad group of tight ends. The only issue is the most important one on the field. And that's the quarterback position. It's the truth, though. Daniel Jones has a lot to prove, guys. And he's got so many weapons this year now compared to what he's had in previous years. Got a better offensive line. He's got weapons on wide receivers. I mean, Adam Schefter was reporting today that Malik Nabers has looked like a rookie of the year candidate in camp so far. That's the hype he's getting. Now, keep in mind, Trey Hawkins last year was getting hyped as a great corner. So I'm just take some of it with a grain of salt, obviously.
Yeah.
But there's a legit excitement about some of the players in this team. And in some cases, there's not where there should be. This team will go as far as this quarterback will take them. How far that is, we'll find out. But let's get into the defense here. Little D.
Oh, let's talk about that D.
So we start off with the defensive end position, where, surprise, surprise, the $28.5 million man is starting. Brian Burns, the Spider-Man. Spider-Man does whatever a spider can. And I don't know about you, but I would love to see him wrap up some quarterbacks in his webbing this year. It's time.
Yeah.
People keep talking about the pressure that's on Daniel Jones. And legit, we just talked about it a second ago ourselves, so I'm not trying to say they're wrong for saying it. Let's talk about the pressure this man's under. That's a freaking big contract to live up to, guys. Like, that is a massive contract. This guy's only had 1 year with over 9 sacks. And I get it, sacks are not the end all. We've talked about that before. I'm not changing course on that. But when you're making a $28 million contract, I'm not going to give you credit for rushes and, disrupting the passer and blah, blah, blah. No, you get that damn quarterback to the ground. This is the one exception to that rule that I'm going to look at that and go, you better get that damn quarterback to the ground because I'm paying you freaking $28 million a year. Not that I personally am. Just get excited.
Let's say.
I don't have that kind of money. Definitely don't have that kind of money.
Wait a minute.
But yeah, like I said, it's just that's a lot. The pressure is going to come with that, guys. He's never dealt with that kind of pressure before. He's never played in New York before, which is a whole different set of pressures at that point there.
Yeah,
and I'm telling you,
played in North Carolina, where you were the diamond amongst the rough.
Yes, shine bright like a diamond.
Now come to New York, no one shines bright.
Yeah, and I think he's up to the New York task. That part I'm not worried about, but I have to bring it up because there is a difference that some guys can't hack it in New York. I think he can handle the New York pressure and the New York media and everything that comes with playing for the Giants as one of the star players for them. I think he can handle that. What I'm not sure on is, can this guy put up 13, 14 sacks? Because I'm telling you right now, with that contract, that's what I'm expecting. 100% That's what I'm expecting. Now, don't get me wrong. Again, sacks are not everything. And I'm still not changing that. I still want the QB hits. I still want the rushes. I still want the tackles. I still want the run stopping. I still want all that stuff. But the sacks have to be there because in the end, the edge rushers that are star players get sacks. They get sacks. That's what they do. And if they don't, quite frankly, they're not worth the contract they're in. And that's the problem you run into at this point is he has those expectations. I'm going to read you this. I'm going to give you guys a stat number for somebody for the last couple of years. 14 sacks, 16 sacks, 16 sacks, 12 sacks, 10 sacks, 13.5 sacks. Okay, that's the last 6 years of Myles Garrett. Those are the numbers that I need from Brian Burns now because of that contract. Right or wrong, that's what I'm looking for.
Maybe not that high, but yeah.
Nope,
it's got to be up
there. Damn it.
Well, of course you want that because he's on our team now.
It's not that. That's what we're paying you. We're paying you to be that guy. We're paying you to be one of the best defensive players, not on the team, in the league.
You're right. But also Garrett got that when that's not when the contract was. Like, that's not what people got paid. That's what people are going to get paid in this modern NFL. That's what's going to happen.
I don't care.
But if he doesn't come out and get 16 sacks this year and he gets 12, I'm still going to be happy.
12. Listen, I told you I'll be happy around. I play 14 is what I'm hoping for, but 12 I'll be fine with.
Well, my thing is, all right, so if he gets 12, we'll say he gets 11 and a half, right? This one, you want to see more.
Yeah.
But if DeVito and Sexy Dex, their numbers go up this year because of the pressure he's provided and people run away from him, looking at the play, I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I mean, you kind of evaluate it overall when the season's over and take a look. But yeah, like I said, he just has a huge amount of weight on his shoulders there right now.
Oh yeah.
Backing him up is Boogie Basham, who's actually he began a lot of love in training camp. You keep hearing his name on the reports of stuff going on, so that's good to hear. There, that guy had a lot of credibility coming out of college, and really hasn't lived up to that in the NFL. So, maybe we can actually somehow get something out of him. That'd be nice.
That'd be fantastic.
So far, that was a bad trade.
And he's also got one of the best names in football. So
yes, he does. Carlos.
Yeah.
That is his actual name. Third team at the defensive end position is Ovi Ogofu. I always mispronounce his name. I apologize to him.
Ogofu, you ball.
Yeah. Anyway, another undrafted rookie free agent. Nose tackle. It is no surprise whatsoever. Dexter Lawrence, the best nose tackle in the entire freaking league, number 1 there. After that, Jordan Riley, DJ Davidson, and then Timmy Horner, who sat in the corner eating his curtain away. I don't know why, like a little Jack Horner, like whatever that is, whatever that one goes. I always think of him when I hear that name, but obviously same last name, that's why, but still, it's just weird combo. Yeah, and one of these guys has to step up, guys. We talked about it before, like they the way they're putting this is a little weird for me in my taste, because let's be honest, defensive end is an edge rusher. You're not putting Brian Burns on the line. He's going to be an outside linebacker, edge position guy. Now you're going to put him on the line during 4-3 and nickels and dimes and stuff like that. That's why it comes a little convoluted. But when you're in a base 3-4 defense, one of these guys has to step up, because Dexter Lawrence can't do it himself. Well, he probably can if anybody can.
I was about to say he kind of gets close to doing it himself, but
yeah.
He
needs some help. He needs some help. I need someone who can spell him too, even when they are in the regular defense at that point there. Like he needs help, guys. And you're asking a lot. We've said it before, out of some guys that just quite frankly aren't high draft picks, haven't done much in the NFL. One of them, though, will probably step up and be serviceable. I'm not expecting crazy, chaos here, so to speak, where this guy comes to make a 7th round pick to a Pro Bowler. Like that's ridiculous. But I think someone's going to come up serviceable, because if there's one thing the Giants have done over the last couple of years successfully, is draft defensive tackles. That is one thing the Giants, for whatever reason, have been able to do very well. We're talking the Dexter Lawrences, the Linval Josephs, all these different people over the years. I feel like as long as I've been a Giants fan, we've had good defensive tackles. Keith Hamilton is a good example at that point there. It's just there's just people that have been, for whatever reason, been very, very good at that position that we have drafted. So hopefully one of these guys stands out. At the actual defensive tackle position, Raheem Nunez-Roches, number 1, who we need a big year out of him. Because he's going to be established defensive veteran on that true defensive line. Again, not the defensive end or edge rushing position, but the true defensive line of the 3-4 that has any real experience playing and isn't kind of washed up, besides Dexter Lawrence. Then you got Ryder Anderson, who is going to be an interesting one, because by all accounts, he fits better as a defensive end in the 4-3. So it's interesting to have him second. I wonder if they're going to use him a lot when they go into 4-3 kind of sets. I wonder if that's kind of the plan. Like if they go into a 4-3 kind of set there and, go into a nickel dime kind of package at that point there and change some things up, and they're going to put him in as a defensive end in that position. After that, Jordan Phillips, who's the guy who said kind of washed up. The guy had one great year as a sack artist there. I think he had 9 sacks 5 years ago, and has 20 sacks in his career. But, again, he's a savvy veteran. He's a guy that can teach some of these young guys. He'll make the spot as one of the backups, that's for sure. Elijah Chapman, who has been basically the surprise in the last week or two of this training camp. All of a sudden, this kid is getting hyped up like you would not believe. Absolutely hyped up. And it's really interesting there because this is a guy that you really didn't hear too much about afterwards. But there he is. He got, picked up. They talked about it a little bit. He's got the baby bison name that some people like, obviously. And now all of a sudden, the last week or two, you're hearing a lot more about him at that point. So we'll have to see what happens. See if he can make the roster. That'd be a little shocker if he does. But, he's been shown to be pretty athletic. He did play a little fullback in college as well, which is kind of interesting. Maybe plays a little double side like that.
Interesting.
Not that everybody really uses a fullback anymore, but
yeah,
fullback.
What is that?
And then, of course, we got last up there, Casey Rogers from Oregon, undrafted rookie free agent. I don't think you really should expect to see here in this, on this roster, probably when the actual final roster pops up. He's more likely to get confused for Casey Jones of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And to be confused with New York Giant.
Cowabunga,
dude. All right. Let's go to the outside linebacker position. First up, Kayvon Thibodeau. Obviously.
That's there.
Obviously. And that's going to be interesting because Kayvon had the sacks last year, guys. But if you actually watch the tape, a lot of people thought his year was not as great as those stats give. He beat up on some really bad offensive lines with the Commanders and the Jets. He had an extremely high pass rush to sack ratio. The success rate that he had was ungodly high. And we've talked about the show before. The one thing he really needs to get better at is setting the edge of the defense so he can go ahead and stop the runs, whether it be a quarterback or running back. I've seen both of them blow right on by him because they push him on the outside past where the quarterback is, and it goes right for it. He's got to get better at that stuff. This is the third year, guys. He's got Brian Burns to teach him, who's had a lot of success in this league. Unless, again, I said before, I'm not sure $28 million success, but he's had success. He's still a Pro Bowl player at that point. So, see if Kayvon picks up some stuff from him. I'm sure he will. So, Andre Patterson, who is a defensive line coach for the last couple of years for us, who's also is credited with helping Dexter Lawrence get to the success he has now. He's been helping with the outside linebackers as well. So that's always good to see. Plus, there's a new outside linebackers coach. So, we'll see what happens there. I think you see a little bit of change in how these guys play. I think the fact that Kayvon's not going to be put probably into the position of having to cover people as often is going to help as well.
Yes, I was going to say different. He's going to be set up in a defense that's probably going to be play to his talents more often.
Exactly. We've talked about it. Wink Martindale's defense was not conducive to edge rushers. It just wasn't.
Yeah.
He had him in coverage. He had him in run stopping gaps and stuff all kinds of crazy. And I get it. Putting your blitzes from weird places helps sometimes. But it also helps putting your best damn pass rushers in a pass rushing position. It's crazy.
Yeah. Oh, you got this talent of getting to the quarterback. Awesome. Chase down this receiver.
Yeah. You drafted a guy 5th overall to be a pass rusher, and you have him covering running backs in the flat. That's not what you do. That's not what you do.
Winks out there, they'll never expect it.
They expect it because it is expected at this point. The safety is going to blitz. Is what happens. Yeah. Backing him up is Zeke Ojulari. Again, contract year, a guy that you hear in every single practice report good things about there. And listen, we like him a lot. Like, we're fans of him on the show, guys. The big thing with him is him staying healthy. If he's healthy, he's a guy that you can count on getting at least a sack every other game, which is a really not a great, amazing ratio. But if you're going to sit there and tell me that someone can get 8 to 9 sacks a game season, I'm going to say, okay, that's a solid player. I'm not going to say Pro Bowl caliber, defensive NP or anything crazy like that.
But if your backup's getting you 8 sacks a year,
well, and that's one thing we'll have to see is as a backup, would he continue that kind of pace? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, probably if he stays healthy, playing as a backup, plays through the year, he might have a better average than what he's had the past couple of years when he's been injured.
Plus, they're going to throw him in just in passing situations. So it's going to be like he goes in, just goes after the quarterback, comes off, gets rested, comes back in, goes after the quarterback. Like, that's what's going to happen. So, I'm curious to see what happens with him overall. My biggest concern, which it's a great concern to have, guys, don't get me wrong, is that he plays to the point so well that we lose him next year. Because I think he's got a lot of talent in him. I'd almost want him to play good but not great so we can keep him at the selfish.
Get a good deal on him and then have him blow out. And
you know what it is? Because that's one of the most expensive things to get. We talked about with the Brian Burns thing a minute ago. A guy who can get to the quarterback is not cheap to get. It's just not. And a guy who can get to the quarterback as a backup and provide that off the bench is very difficult to come by because everybody wants to throw them in a starting position. But you have to wonder, is Zeke Ojulari better as a backup to keep the health concerns down? He had the issues coming out of college. That's why we end up getting him in the late second round. When, let's be honest, there are plenty of Giants fans, if we drafted him in the first round, would not have been upset.
When we drafted
him. If we had drafted him instead of Kadarius Toney in the first round, plenty of people have been okay with that. Looking back, would have been a good move.
Yeah, let's say.
But I'm thinking on draft night, nobody would have been upset. So, it's the talent's there. You just got to keep him healthy on the field. Third up is Mr. Timon. What does the Fox say? Who is just a guy that, listen, Timon Fox is that scrappy guy that just all of a sudden just finds his way into situations. He's a decent backup kind of guy to have at that point, but he's your back end of your roster kind of guy. You're probably not going to develop into like a guy like we talked so nicely about, Azeez Ojulari a minute ago. Like, he doesn't have that potential, guys. His ceiling and his floor is not that much different apart. He's a low end edge rusher that can happen to make a roster, but if you have to count on him for anything significant, you're probably in trouble. I'll do a little special teams for you.
That's fair.
Yeah. Now we got Benton Whitley, which just sounds like a fancy name, doesn't it?
Feels like I should be drinking having some tea and crackers.
Yeah, it's like, I went to the Whitley the Third Esquire to have some water crescent sandwiches and some Earl Grey. It just sounds fancy. It does. And the scary thing is, we're going to talk more about the fact that his name sounds fancy than him himself, because he's not going to be a Giant. Let's be honest here.
Probably not.
Probably not going to be. Inside linebacker. The funny thing is, somebody's probably going to be watching this or listening to this for the very first time, going, "What the hell are these guys on?" Listen, what
are they talking about?
It's in the damn name.
Yeah.
Inside linebacker position. Obviously, you got your starters, Bobby Okereke and Micah McFadden. The second team, they had Carter Coughlin and Deontay Johnson. Now, Carter Coughlin, I'm kind of shocked he's that high, guys. I'm a little shocked he's that high. Keep in mind, he was a late addition. And I wonder, and I have no news in this, guys. Let me be very clear on this. I have no inside information on this whatsoever. But let me ask you this, Rob. You're Shane Bowen for a minute, okay? You get the Giants defensive coordinator position. What's the first thing you probably do? Would you say
clean house? What was that?
Besides that, would you say maybe watch some tape from the last couple of years?
Watch some tape, clean some house.
I'm just saying, like, you probably watched a lot of film with the Giants.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering if the fact they brought him in so late, when they kind of made the determination he wasn't coming back before they got Shane Bowen. I wonder if Shane Bowen saw something he liked. I have no information on that whatsoever. I'm not trying to say like breaking news, like no, but it's just weird to me that like he was gone. He's on social media saying thank you to the Giants organization for everything. There was a clear breakup, and then all of a sudden there he is. Somebody on that coaching staff asked for him back. That's what I think personally at that point. I mean, it also could have been, obviously the fact that we have a new special team coordinator as well in Gabriel, and maybe he wanted him at that point he is a special team stud. But it just makes me wonder now when I see him on second team inside linebacker, and they brought him in after he said he was leaving and after we got Shane Bowen, if Shane Bowen saw something he liked in him. So we'll have to kind of keep track on that because he was an inside linebacker and an edge player. Like I feel like he never really had a full home on defense because they kept moving him towards the special teams. I said just a little odd to me, a little odd. The other guy on that second team, Deontay Johnson, is one of those guys that sneakily has also had a very, very good training camp. Like this guy has popped up on the first team with the first team defense at times. And if you remember last year, Micah McFadden was taken out for Isaiah Simmons. I wouldn't say on a regular basis, but I'm, passing down specifically. Let's be honest. Micah McFadden is not the guy you want week 1 going against TJ Hawkinson.
No.
He's not the guy. Now, is Johnson the guy? I'm not saying that. It's an undrafted rookie free agent that sat around for a year and has hopefully developed something with the coaching staff there. But if you're going to put, we'll talk about the position in a minute, but if you're going to put Isaiah Simmons at a different position, you need somebody who's athletic and can go ahead and cover to put in those kind of passing downs. Maybe that's who it is. Maybe that's who it is. I mean, we'll find out. But there's a lot of hype around him right now. So we'll get into players that we should watch for in the preseason game coming up on Thursday. But spoiler alert, he's one of them. He's definitely one of them. Third team, Matthew Adams, special team star, kind of like Carter Coughlin, doesn't really see defense very often. And Darius Muasau, the rookie we got this year that, to be very frank, I'm still trying to figure out why we got him. I'm not trying to be rude about it. I just don't think that you see where he's at. He's in the third team inside linebackers. Like, I'm questioning the pick a little bit there. Not trying to be a jerk about it. No offense, Muasau. Just not so sure that was where to go. And then all by himself. He don't want to be. Hashtag save my Beavers.
Yeah, on the fourth team.
Yeah, Darian Beavers on the fourth team all by himself there. I'm a little shocked by that. I just listen, guys. This may be the end of Darian Beavers. If this continues, he doesn't go crazy this preseason. This might be the end of Darian Beavers. And let's be honest, if you're expecting him to go crazy during the preseason, that means he should be going crazy during the training camp, which means he wouldn't be the fourth team. I just think that injury he had as a rookie just killed and sapped the potential he had, guys. And that's a shame because this was a kid that we were pretty fan when he first came in. There was a lot of potential there,
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it's gone. Like MetLife has claimed so many ACLs in the past. It's gone. Look at that. Rob's so upset he's frozen. That's how upset Rob is. He's frozen. So next up is the nickel position there, guys. And with the nickel position, you got Drew Phillips as your starter. Now, Drew Phillips, obviously, Andrew Phillips is our third-round draft pick there from Kentucky. Interesting that you see him as a starter because, to be honest, during training camp, a lot of times he has not been starting there. So it's interesting that they're putting him out there as a starter. Kind of says to me that he's been doing better with them lately. They're putting a little faith in him. They're putting a little bit of, onus on him to keep that up now. So we'll see what happens there overall with him. And then backing him up in the nickel spot is the guy we talked about a minute ago, Isaiah Simmons. And listen, Isaiah Simmons needs a real home, guys. That's been the story of his, of his whole entire NFL career at this point, is this man needs a home. And his home is going to be nickel, at least this year, in Shane Bowen's system. And that's the spot that he probably is best suited for, to be very frank with you guys. I mean, he's gone from a safety in Arizona, quite frankly, did not work out. Like, just point blank did not work out, to going to be a guy who, had the opportunity to play linebacker last year with us now. Didn't work out. I mean, were you guys really that happy? I know some guys like Isaiah Simmons, but let's be honest. Some guys still like Isaiah Simmons because they thought he was a great pick coming out of the draft. He was okay. He was best in coverage. So if he's best in coverage, nickel position is like perfect for him at that point. You put him in a spot where he's covering guys who are slower, tight ends, running backs, people of that nature at that point. You're putting him in a position to still help in the running game because he still has that ability. And listen, nickel blitzes are going to happen in this defense. It's not just Wink Martindale that throws random people at the quarterback, Like, he'll still rush the passer occasionally. I think this may end up really being the position for him. I think it's where he's probably best suited. And I'm intrigued to see what he does there. Third up there is Nick McLeod. There can be only one. And this is a guy that I still think could be a starting corner in this league. And I know I'm crazy for it. I know that most people will not agree with me whatsoever, guys. I still think he could be a starting corner in this league. And I think the fact that he's that low is a little shocking to me. That's to be quite honest there. And it's so shocking to Rob that he left for a minute and he came back now.
I was so appalled.
So, again, we'll have to see what happens. I'm curious to see where he ends up, because Nick McLeod is not just a guy who plays nickel, which is kind of funny because nickel, but
he was also a Highlander.
We already did that before when you were gone.
I know.
You missed it. There can be only one. I can't help but say it every time. But yeah, I mean, you got Nick McLeod there, who is, listen, he's a good backup corner to have. This is a guy that can come on the field. He's done it before, not embarrass himself, and do something with the time on the field. So, then you got Trey Herndon, the guy we got from Jacksonville, who's got a little starting experience there. So listen, that's a solid group for people to bring in nickel and dime packages and those kind of situations, guys. Next up, the starting outside corners. Deontay Banks and Cordell Flott. Let's be honest, there's no surprise there. Yeah. Cordell Flott, I feel like, is like the guy that they're determined to shove down our throats. Like, I really hope that he does well, because I think if he doesn't, there's going to be some slack coming back on Dable and Shane over this. I really do. And I honestly, let's be honest, I hope every single player plays well. I'm a Giants fan. But this is a risky move. Like, you didn't go out and get somebody to play this position. You put that kind of faith in Flott. Like, you, the very beginning, like, Flott's the guy, Flott's the guy, Flott's the guy. You drafted Flott too early to begin with. Most guys had him at a fifth-round pick. You gave him a third-round pick for him. So, yeah, there's a little bit of a risk there for sure in this whole situation there. Now, there's not risk for Deontay Banks. Like, he's never been a number one corner. And the times he struggled last year was when he had to be. And he's got that gauntlet. We talked about it before in the show. He's got a gauntlet of wide receivers to go through. The best of the best of the best, sir. Here come the man in black. But that's where he's at there. It's like, careful, someone's going to get slapped. But, I mean, he's got a gauntlet of people to go through. And I'm not so sure he can do it without some help. and it's going to have to be help from the safety position, places like that, probably to do it. He's going to need a little help as a rookie number 1 corner, if that makes sense. He was a number 2 last year, and now he's a number 1.
We got a lot of talent, like you said. There's a lot of talent that we're playing this year.
Yeah, but he's got a lot of physical talent himself. His issue's always been, a little bit of the, the form, a little bit of the, the abilities to go with the, the physicalness as far as the mental aspects at that point. Reading what the receiver's going to do and that kind of stuff. But he's got Jerome Henderson. If anybody can teach us, there's certain guys on this coaching staff I have a ton of respect for. We talked about Andre Patterson before. I have a ton of respect for him. Jerome Henderson's that guy as well. Like, I would not have been pissed off at all if Jerome Henderson got promoted to be defensive coordinator. In fact, we suggested it multiple times. Multiple times. Even before Wink left, we talked about it. I think, if I remember right.
Yeah.
Like, Jerome Henderson is a solid guy. Backing those two up, they got Trey Hawkins III and Darnay Holmes, which I'm a little shocked. Darnay Holmes as an outside. Like, he spent a lot of his career there with the Giants, since he's the kind of that spot in the carpet we can't get rid of. Like, he spent a lot. It's a good analogy, it. He spent a lot of time on the inside in that slot position there. So, it's interesting to see him on the outside. Maybe it's just a change of pace. Maybe that's just what he needs. Maybe I'm just trying to be optimistic because we haven't wanted him on this team for multiple years. We keep bringing it back on 1-year deals for some reason. Yeah. And then, Trey Hawkins, we talked about it before as well, as this was the guy that everybody thought was a stud coming out of training camp last year. At one point, they moved Adoree Jackson to the slot and had him and Deonte Banks as starters in the corner position. And he just failed miserably, guys. Miserably. There was no, this was the fall from grace like you would not believe. So, hopefully, another year under his belt. He was a very raw player coming out of college. That was that was one of the things. Like, if you listen, there was his head coach from college did a interview, and I apologize to whoever it was. I cannot remember for the life of me what program it was on. I want to say it was Locked On Giants with Pat Traina. I may be wrong in that though. But he played only, I think, 1 year at Old Dominion, if I remember right. Before that, he played at Trinity Valley College, guys. This kid was signed because of potential. He wasn't signed because he was ready. That's why he went in the 6th round. So by the same point, 6th round picks don't typically pan out. That's life in the 6th round. So don't expect too much, but understanding his potential, and let's just see what he develops into, and not give him crazy suggestions on how great he can be, like we did last year to him. After that, the third stringers, David Long Jr. and Breon Borders. So 2 different veterans that we signed this offseason as well. So we got some guys there. We got some names. Got some legitimate NFL players there. I'm just a little nervous about the starting 2. I'm a little nervous about that. I think the pass rush really has to help them out. I really do. That's not a experienced group. That's not a group with a great NFL resume yet. They could develop one still, but they don't have one right now. So hopefully these pan out, because these are Joe Shane picks here, guys. This is his 3rd round pick and his 1st round pick, starting up, being backed up by a 6th round pick. Joe Shane's corners, guys. He's the one who chose not to go get a veteran corner. At least not the one that can start. David Long Jr. isn't count.
I was going to say.
He's only a junior anyway.
Oh, man. I went the extra large.
Wow. I'm not going to hear that. Let's get into the safeties, guys. The safeties. It's a safe place here, guys. Let's talk about it. So, starting Dane Belton and Jason Pinnock. Listen, Pinnock's obviously not the surprise, but Dane Belton starting, that's a little bit of a surprise. Again, this is like a Theo Johnson moment. Tyler Newman has been hurt. Tyler Nubin has not played much this training camp. Dane Belton has. They're giving the nod to Dane Belton right now. Tyler Nubin, I'm telling you right now, will be the starter before the season starts.
100%.
Not any doubt in my mind whatsoever, unless he gets injured or falls flat in his face, which I really don't expect. I got a lot of high hopes for Tyler Nubin. I really do think he's going to be a good player in this league, which would put Dane Belton in the backup position, which is where Tyler Nubin is right now, the backup position on the second team there, along with Elijah Riley. Now, should note, Jalen Mills is currently injured. So again, he's another guy who's not being listed in this whole thing. Dane Belton, Jalen Mills will be your backup safeties. That's what it's going to be. Elijah Riley will be backed up into the third team at that point.
Yep.
Which is where Javarius Owens is right now, along with Caleb Hayes. And then Alex Johnson, who was a corner in college, they have him listed as the fourth team as a safety. So I'm wondering, are they going to put him in because we talked about this guy's really been a guy who has done amazing things in the last year of college with interceptions. Are they going to put him in that center field role? I wonder if that's what the plan is. Just put him in the center field role and let him do his thing.
Yeah.
He's a little light, though, for safety. 6 foot even, guys. So he's got the height of a corner and a height that can work for safety. But he's 185 pounds. It's a little light. So, we'll see what happens there. But 5 interceptions last year at UCLA after having none the prior 5 years. He played 6 years in college. And then before that, obviously also in training camp, he's had a couple as well. He had that one practice. He had 2. What did he have? 2 interceptions, I think, and one tip or something like that. He's had some good times in practice as well in training camp. So we'll see what happens because fourth team is not good for making the squad. Maybe that's the plan, though, is not to have him make the squad. Put him in the practice squad and let him develop into a safety. That seems like the possible plan there, guys. So, it's going to be a fun defense to watch, though. My big thing is I want to see the difference in Shane Bowen's defense, and I want to see what these corners do. That's the scariest part of this defense for me is those corners. So we'll see as time progresses here. So let's get into the special teams once we're done telling you guys here about a contest that we're running. You guys may have heard about it if you're watching on a regular basis. We are giving away a signed jersey by the man, the myth, the legend, Daniel Jones.
What you got?
Right next to me at all times so I can show it. Now, before I do that, I don't often do this kind of thing. I don't like to toot my own horn. And when I say that, I mean I do love to toot my own horn. I have a huge ego.
He strokes it all the time.
You said you weren't going to tell anybody. Anyway, we got an email today from somebody who joined the contest. And I want to give him a shout out here. Kyle Cooper. And this is what he said. He said, I have subscribed to the YouTube channel. I've been listening to the podcast for a few months now. Definitely one of my favorites and a must listen. Wish I had found it sooner.
This is much appreciated, man. It made my morning.
I screenshot it and sent it right to Rob at that point there. Because listen, we see these things. We're at our, I want to say 9 to 5, but Rob and I both work like at 6:30 to 5.
I was supposed to say mine was more like a 6:45 to 5:30.
Yeah, exactly. We don't get the normal hours, so it brightens up our day to see stuff like that. So if you do join the contest and you want to send us something nice in the process, we'll be happy to read it on the show as well because it makes us happy. But also, feel free to put that in the review section. Apple Podcasts is a great place to do that as well because that definitely helps get the show out there as well. So, but let's get into the contest here. Enough of me asking for more accolades.
Enter to win a Daniel Jones signed jersey. Simply subscribe to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/@2giantgoofballs, and email a screenshot to 2giantgoofballs@mail.com to enter. Only one submission allowed per subscriber. Monthly subscribers at buymeacoffee.com/2giantgoofballs will get an additional 2 entries. Contest ends when the channel reaches 1,000 subscribers. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited. This contest is not affiliated with the NFL, New York Giants, Daniel Jones, or any other person or company besides the 2 Giant Goofball podcast. Good luck to everyone.
There we go. All right, guys. Let's get into the special teams because they're special.
You're so special.
They're so special.
So special.
Here we go. So special teams there, and we have a lot of not surprises in this whole thing. Let's be honest here. There's really two things we're really looking at in this, and that's the return game. That's the big thing there. You know, you got obviously your your long snapper is going to be Casey Kreiter. We don't have another long snapper on the roster. Holder be Jamie Gillen, Scottish Hammer himself, who of course is our punter as well. Kicker, we have Graham Gano, who obviously you fully expect Graham Gano to be healthy this year, hopefully, and be the starter and play. Jade I'm always mispronouncing his name as well, and it's partially because I just see his name cut, and I don't feel like they need to keep learning it over once to the blue when we talk about him. Jade whatever, the kid from Rutgers who lost his starting job and still thinks he can make an NFL roster.
That guy.
Call it like it is. Call it like it is. MCATAMNEY. McTamney. Whatever his name is. Like I said, the guy to be cut eventually.
Brutal.
I'm such a jerk. I know. It's okay.
Practice squad.
Yeah. And not even that. Listen, I'm sorry. If you cannot make and keep your starting job in college, I don't feel the need to learn your name in the NFL. Because you know what they call the NFL? They're not for long. And this guy is exemplifying that. I'm telling you right now. Like the fact he's even, I feel like they just put him on a roster. Like, oh, you went to Rutgers. You must live local.
You're a Jersey boys. Come on.
Yeah.
Did you know New Brunswick's really close to East Rutherford?
It's not, but okay.
Well, it's a lot closer than Mississippi State.
Yeah, that it is. That I'll give you that. Yes. Here's the fun ones though, is the returners. So your kickoff starter, which I find it funny they put KOS instead of KR, the kick returners. Kickoff starter. Gunnar Olszewski, Isaiah McKenzie, Darius Slayton, Wan'Dale Robinson, Amon-Ra St, Tyrone Tracy Jr. Now that's the same order they gave for the record at punt returner. There is no difference. So the curious thing is, what's going to happen here? Because Gunnar Olszewski is right now, we say he's on the third. Yeah, he's on the third team at that point. So you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 to 10 players ahead of him at the wide receiver position, depending on where you want to rank the three people that are in the third team. If he doesn't make it as a kick returner, guys, he's not making this team. Let's be very honest in this. Because Isaiah McKenzie, number 2, is actually serviceable as a wide receiver. Gunnar Olszewski is not. Now, partially it's going to be...
Well, Gunnar was also picked up to, be a kick returner.
Yeah.
But like you said, like they literally picked up this guy because that was his profession. That's what he did. Well, not his profession, but you know what I mean? Like that was his specialty.
It is his profession. It's okay. It's what he do.
Well, yeah. Well, that's what he's getting paid for, but he's also technically getting paid to be a wide receiver.
Yeah. I'm saying McKenzie, no, he's not, because he hasn't caught the ball in years. He literally hasn't caught a single pass in years. Like that's all he is. It's a punt returner. And I don't mean that to be disrespectful to what he does. Punt returning is important. If you don't think so, look at the Giants last year. Just saying. He caught 1 reception all year for 0 yards last year. That's where we're at. He caught 5 catches for 53 yards the year before that. Like, this is not a guy that you're actually counting on to do anything whatsoever. I'm going to give you this. This is how bad it is with Gunnar Olszewski. Okay. He has not had a single receiving yard since week 14 of the 2022 season.
Nice. Know who else has it? Me. I have not had a single.
The difference is you're not getting paid for the work to work in the NFL.
This is true.
Just saying. That's the difference. I mean, that's got to be, to me, an up for McKenzie is the fact that while he's never really blown the top off, he had his best season was 400 yards a couple of years ago with the Bills. But he's been a guy who's consistently gotten 150 to 250 yards receiving, along with having the abilities he has for special teams. That, to me, puts him ahead. If I have to pick one of the two, I'm probably picking Isaiah McKenzie because of that versatility.
Yeah, especially this Giants team the past couple of years seem to really like the no names kind of receivers to get you some more yards besides Slayton.
And the Giants have no clue what they want to do with the position, guys. Let's be very frank of that. There was reports of Malik Nabers even punt returning at one point. And we have visions of Jason Sehorn dancing through our head no, stop this. Don't do it to me. Don't. You already did it once.
God, that wasn't even funny enough.
But, I mean, I think, honestly, again, you look at this group and you go, anybody could take that job. Anybody can. But I don't want Darius Slayton. I don't want Wan'Dale Robinson there. This is a backup role. I'm sorry. The 1 or 2 extra yards you might get me because you're a better punter returner or kickoff returner is not worth me losing one of my top receivers for the entire year.
Well, top backup receiver.
Wan'Dale Robinson and Darius Slayton are both at least top 4 receivers in this roster.
Well, no, all right. Okay. I hear what you're saying there. It's fine. That's what I'm saying.
If you want to put a Dante from Wyoming out there, go ahead. I'm okay with that. You want to put Gunner or Isaiah McKenzie out there, I'm good with that. You want to put Tyrone Tracy Jr., I'm okay with that. But I don't like guys.
Keep Wan'Dale and Slayton away.
Yeah, keep those guys away. So, like I said, if I had to pick one right now, Isaiah McKenzie for my pick. So
yeah, that would make the most sense.
Let's get into the newest giant. The newest giant here, Christian Holmes. Signed him here just today. This is breaking news from just a couple hours ago. We recorded this on Monday night. He was released just yesterday, Sunday, there by the Commanders. 26 years old, 7th-round draft pick of the Commanders in 22 from Oklahoma State. Also spent some time at Missouri. 6'1", 205 pounds. On his career, 30 games, 2 starts, 20 tackles, 2 fumbles recovered there, and 1 pass deflected as well. 607 of his 743 snaps, guys, have come on special teams. So just fair warning on what we're getting here. We're getting a guy in the beginning of August who's available because he got cut. Think about the guys we've cut. They're not top of the roster kind of spots. They're not cost-cutting moves. These are guys who are fringe, borderline NFL players. And that's what Christian Holmes is. The one thing interesting in this whole thing is the fact that Giants keep bringing in corners. They're bringing in corners after corners, guys. Read the tea leaves. They're not happy with that group. You don't keep bringing in corners. This is now 3 they brought in last week and a half. You don't keep bringing in people.
We like this room. We like what they're doing. Let's go. Let's bring another 2 or 3 guys next week. Let's see what they can do.
Yeah.
We are ecstatic about that corner room.
Exactly, guys. So, understand where it's at, that there's probably some concerns they have somewhere in this room. They wouldn't keep bringing people in otherwise. So, now, obviously, we've signed Christian Holmes. Whenever someone comes, someone's got to go. And that's Jashaun Corbin got waived today. So he got injured waived is what they worded at that point there. So he had an injury. So he was waived overall. He's off the roster now. Obviously, we got him originally as an undrafted rookie free agent in 22 from Florida State. Started his college career there over at Texas A&M. Spent all of 2022 on our practice squad. He didn't make the final roster in 23 either. Went on to the practice squad for the Carolina Panthers, only for us to sign him to our active roster there about a month later. Last year, he appeared in 6 games. He went ahead and Rushed the ball 3 times for 12 yards. I guess not a bad average. You got 4 yards to carry, but it's not a great average, that's for sure. So not times, I should say, in rushing the ball, that's for sure. Had 118 snaps on special teams where he had 3 tackles. So, yeah, I mean, he's had his chance. You know, he's still just 23 years old, so who knows what the future holds for him here, but he hasn't been able to make an impact now on 2 teams with horrible offenses. Let's be honest, guys. If you can't make it on the Giants roster on offense or the Carolina Panthers roster on offense, the future is not too bright.
I mean,
saying to me, what to call the
probably not. Probably not. Like, you might be able to make it, we'll say more like with the Patriots or something, where a little bit of better.
The one notch you got down is the Patriots. That's the one notch you got down.
That's the one I get through. Someone with a better offensive line. Let's be real. Yeah. It's not like Corbin had the best lines when he played in.
I hear you. I'm just saying it's not that. It's how he.
I'm not saying that he's going to do well. I'm just saying.
You know, I mean, let's be honest here. Matt Breida, he's not even on the NFL roster anymore. I don't think anybody even picked him up this year.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying. Like, he couldn't beat out those guys last year for carries. Not that many carries were given to anybody but Saquon Barkley, but still. And I just double checked. Yes, he is a free agent. Matt Breida is a free agent. So, yeah, it's not looking great for him to continue his career as far as I'm concerned. Who knows? Maybe somebody picks him up for the rest of the camp. He makes a little more money before he retires at that point from football. So wish him nothing but the best. It ain't us trying to wish negative on him. I'm just trying to honestly assess the situation for him there. All righty. Let's pay the bills real quick, and then we're going to talk about the preseason game here.
Some foosball.
Enjoying the show? Looking for more goofball action? Consider a membership at buymeacoffee.com/2giantgoofballs. Memberships start at just $5 and give you additional goofball access. One-time support payments also available starting at just $3. buymeacoffee.com/2giantgoofballs.
All righty, guys. So let's talk about a football game. Lions, Giants, preseason, week 1. It's a preview.
Here we go.
Here we go. Actual semi-football.
At least 3 downs of football.
Yes, we got football. It'll be 3 or 4 downs depending on how many. So listen, guys, a little heads up here for those who may not be familiar with the show on a regular basis. When it gets to the regular season, we will give you all they're good at this, they're bad at that, and all that kind of stuff. Like, we go very much into depth with stats and stuff like that during the season. Can't do that in preseason, guys. So I'm going to keep this nice and simple. We have questions more than we have thoughts on the game and who's going to win and what's going to happen. First question, will the starters play?
Probably drive.
You know what? Daniel Jones has said publicly he wants to play. I'd be a little cautious putting him in the game, considering.
Yeah, especially after what we saw recently.
And that's the thing, though. Like, the Giants are doing joint practices, guys, with this team. They're already playing against each other on 11-11 drills and stuff like that. So I think that makes them less likely to want to play starters against this team. That being said, I can tell you this: the Lions are not playing starters, what I've been told. I've got that in pretty good authority from guys that cover the Lions. So I think that if the Lions aren't going to play their starters, if you want to build up a little confidence, you play our starters for one drive, and that's it. On both offense and defense, and then let it go, and let's see what we got in the backups. And I would be perfectly fine with that. I don't want to do what we did last year. The fact that we have the starters play for one set, and that's it. One drive. Granted, it was a nice drive. We scored a touchdown, but that was our best drive all season, probably. And it was the preseason. It wasn't even the season. My bigger thing is more, how do the rookies do? Like, I want to see Malik Nabers in an NFL game. Am I crazy for wanting that already? Like, I'm ready to go.
No,
I
what?
want to see Malik Nabers in an NFL game.
Yeah, you and like millions of other New York Giant football fans out there, we all want to see him out there.
Yep.
Like, I'm excited to see what Theo does at tight end position. Like, I'm excited to see what this offensive line looks like.
Yes.
Like, this is something that's been revamped. This is something I am very excited about. Like, I'm excited to see like our second and third string, fourth string tight ends line up in the line in a 12 in a two-man foundation where they're going to block for the running back. I want to see them throw some like crazy plays out there because I'm more excited. I'm excited to see the newer guys come in like offensive line. I'm also excited to see how they're going to change the gameplay this year because they will. Like, they are 100% changing the way that they're going to play this offense.
And I want to see the offensive line depth because that's where we're going to see most of it. We've been talking about the fact that there's depth and people look at us like we have two heads. We're saying it. I want to see this not just the offensive line. I want to see the depth. I want to see Schlottman. I want to see Nelson. I want to see I want to see Stinney. I want to see all these guys in there, and I want to see what they can do. I want to see is Josh Azudu improved at that point because I've heard good things about him in camp. I want to see what's going on with him. If he finally have his hand placement right, because that's been his biggest issue the entire time as an NFL player, besides the fact that he also can't stay healthy. But that's everybody in this team, it seems like. I want to see, the backup running backs. Is one of these guys going to take this spot away from Eric Gray, who, quite frankly, is going to have trouble holding on to it?
It's double time.
Yeah, exactly. How does Turbo look? How does Tyrone Tracy look? I want to see these guys. I want to see how does this secondary look in coverage. I should say that, but the corners specifically. I want to see that.
Yes.
Because we need this in the secondary to step up, and it potentially could be somebody you're not expecting. Because that's what tends to happen with this team, kind of like Fabian Moreau a couple of years ago, Nick McLeod a couple of years ago. Like, we've had people step up that you don't expect to step up. So I also want to see this defensive line. Like we said, there's so many young players in this defensive line. I want to see how they run. Listen, the 3-4 defensive system at that point. You got Nacho, you got Dexter Lawrence there. You need a third guy. You need a third guy you can count on in your base 3-4 at that point. When you put Burns and Thibodeau on the edge, and you put McFadden and Okereke at the inside linebacker position, you need a third guy in that defensive line. Who's it going to be? And this is a great opportunity for all these guys at that point. This is the kind of opportunity people like dream about playing the NFL for, and they got it. So as far as what to watch out for the Lions guys, listen, I don't care. I'm going to tell you that point, but I don't care because the Lions aren't going to play their starters. And I can't give you the stats to go, oh, well, they have trouble running the game. Well, like, I don't know. It's all backups, guys. I don't care.
Yeah, I was about to say, it's going to be backups. We know we got play. Listen, we know we got a Lions last year. Like, we saw how they played us, and we saw how they played all year. And we saw them go to the NFC Championship and blow that game. Like, and we also all heard about me getting upset because I called the Chiefs and the Lions in the Super Bowl at the start of the playoffs, and I was this close to making it.
Who called the Chiefs and the Niners again?
No, I called the Chiefs and the Lions.
No, I'm saying
last year.
Who called the Chiefs and the Niners again?
Did I call it? No, I was saying last year.
I said who did?
Oh, was it you?
It was me.
It's close. Close.
Anyway, guys, the game's going to be Thursday, the 8th, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Now, obviously, we record typically on Thursday night, so we're going to do one of two things for you guys here. We have to figure it. We're going to have to kind of play it by ear a little bit here because keep in mind, I'm in Florida. It's a little harder to get some of the game coverage at this point here. So we're going to either do a off-schedule episode, or we'll do one later on Thursday when the game is over. It all depends on where we're at that point there. So just heads up on that. Hit the like, hit the subscribe, because if you hit that little bell with that, that's when you get the heads up when we go live at that point. So we don't even know ourselves when we're going live yet. So we'll have to see. Let's pay the bills real quick there. We didn't pay the bills yet, did we?
Didn't you pay the bills already?
It's been a long day, man. It's been a long day.
I was like,
I'm still bad at it. I'm paying it a second time today. Let's not pay the bills since we already did. We got one more topic for you guys, then we're calling it a night here. So Eli Manning is the subject of big controversy right now. We knew this was going to happen one day. Eli Manning
he's grown up.
officially going to be eligible this year for the Hall of Fame. Now, they just had the induction for the 2024 class this past weekend. So yeah, he's the biggest name, and mostly because he plays quarterback, but he's the biggest name in this class. And we knew there's going to be a fight. It's going to be an argument here about whether or not he's a Hall of Famer. And it has begun. The four horsemen are drawing nigh. Like, it has happened here, guys. And I feel like, yeah, if you want to look at the positives, you can list a lot of positives. If you want to list the negatives, you can list a lot of negatives, guys. Like, this is not a clear-cut case, as a lot of people want to think it's going to be. Two-time Super Bowl champ, two-time Super Bowl MVP, four-time Pro Bowler, and a 2016 Walter Payton Man of the Year award winner. 10th overall in NFL in passing yards. 10th overall at most passes thrown. 10th overall at most TDs thrown. It's a lot of important stats there, guys.
Sounds pretty much like a Hall of Famer to me.
Yeah. Now, the negative Nancy's, this is what they're going to tell you, okay? Because they're going to tell you all kinds of crazy negative stuff there. Those Debbie Downers there. Yes, the Debbie Downers. They're going to tell you the fact that no MVPs. No first or even second team all pros. Only 4 Pro Bowls. We talked about 4 Pro Bowls as a positive before, but listen, only 4 Pro Bowls that I had my thumb out for some reason. 4 Pro Bowls in 16 seasons. That's not a good ratio. Led the league in interceptions 3 times. And playing especially in the second half of his career in what kind of became a pass-heavy league at that point. Never eclipsed over 35 touchdowns. Never had a 5,000-yard season passing the ball. It came very close in 2007. I think
very close.
Very, like, literally within like 100 yards of it. But there's a lot of things you can talk about. He's got a 500 record as a quarterback.
Yeah, and
like,
I mean, you argue everything. Like, yeah, his last half of his career
wasted by Jerry Reese.
Yeah,
wasted. But here's the thing you could say as well, though. You could sit there and say he's a Hall of Famer. And you can also sit there and say he's not a slam dunk Hall of Famer.
That's fair.
I think that's a fair assessment of Eli Manning. I really do. Fair,
because, like, at the end of the day, like, what he did for the Giants and what his stats said, like, he's a Hall of Famer. Like, it's hard to argue.
100%.
Top 10 of all time. And you're not going to go to the Hall of Fame? So, like, that's just silly in his face.
They'll say he's a Nolan Ryan, he's a stat compiler, but he's not just that, because there's plenty of people that have played for years and years at the quarterback position and didn't do what he did. You know, the clutchness, the picking up where it counts in there. And he's got this reputation for some reason that the defense dragged Eli Manning to the Super Bowl. Like, no, I'm sorry. He is not Ben Roethlisberger. That's not what happened.
No. And, like, did we not see how he played in the Super Bowls? Like,
yeah.
Did we not see how his team riled around him?
Like, Big Ben got his second ring on his own. That first ring he got dragged to. Let's call it like it is. He got dragged to that ring. Peyton Manning, he got that first ring. He got dragged to that second ring. Eli, both times Eli Manning was the main reason why that team won rings.
100%. So, like, it's like funny. Who caught that crazy helmet catch? That
David Tyree.
Oh yeah. What else did he do that year? Oh, nothing. He's famous because of helmet catch, because he riled around with Eli Manning was selling.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, I mean, that and the Mario Manningham sideline catch are like 2 of like the best catches in Super Bowl history. He beat the best quarterback in NFL history twice. I mean, these are all legit things to look at. You know, there's many things that make a player great, that make them elite, and one of the all-time greats. And it's not being the absolute best for a short amount of time for every single one of these players. Some of them get that. Like Tony Baselli had a very short career, but was like the best tackle in the NFL, got into the Hall of Fame because of that. Sometimes it's just about being great for a long stretch. Sometimes it's about being clutch when it matters the most.
Yeah.
Eli Manning may have never been the best quarterback in the NFL. He may not have ever been the top 3 quarterback in the NFL. Let's not sugarcoat it, even though we're Giants fans here. But he sure as hell was great for a long stretch. He sure as hell was clutch when it mattered.
And he sure as hell's got more Super Bowl rings than a lot of quarterbacks that's ever played in the NFL in general.
Exactly. He's a Hall of Famer. I'm going to call it right now. Let's see if you agree with me here. We didn't rehearse this part of this. I'm going to see what you think. I think that Eli Manning will be a Hall of Famer, but not in 25.
Oh, saucy.
There's a thing. There's some guys just have this whole idea that like a first ballot Hall of Famer means something.
Oh, yeah. I guess you're right.
And I think there's going to be people that say, yeah, he's a Hall of Famer, but he's not a first ballot Hall of Famer. And I think that's what you're going to see a lot of, which is just crazy.
He's going to get in.
Listen, I hope he is, because I'm telling you right now.
Roll the dice.
If he gets in, me and you are planning a road trip to Canton.
Hell yeah. Live from Canton. Here comes the goofballs.
Because let's be honest, if he gets in, the Giants, not only do you have a huge Giants contingency there because of the fact that Eli Manning will be going to the Hall of Fame, but the Giants will probably be one of the 2 teams in the Hall of Fame game. Because he'll probably be the biggest name going in. So we'll get 2 things. We got a game and Eli Manning. So, all right, guys. That's going to call it a night for us here. So we appreciate you guys listening in, watching in, as always there. If you haven't already, hit that like, hit that subscribe, hit that share. As always, we are live on YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, Rob's favorite. I changed up the order on you.
I was about to say, you totally did, you jerk.
Twitch. And maybe one day again, Twitter, if we decide to pay Elon his blood money at that point he wants to make up for his horrendous decision to pay Twitter $4 billion for his rights to it. Whatever it was he paid. It's not ridiculous.
It's like $47 billion.
Absolutely ridiculous. Anyway.
47.
And of course, we're always available the next day on all the audio podcast platforms, iHeartRadio, Amazon, Apple, Spotify, all the big ones there. We're on them all. Hit the like and subscribe on all of them here. Leave us a review. Leave us a comment there. Tell a friend too, guys, because that's how we get shared around. And it's funny, like everybody we ever talk to, like really loves the show. Like when they come across it. I'm not saying everybody loves us. We're not that.
We're definitely always cup of tea.
But there are people that are like, and you'll see some of the guys and gals in the comments section all on a regular basis and all, like John, Deb, Connor, all you guys, Dakota, who actually walked into on real life the other day. Actually, I saw him in the store randomly. We people that like us tend to watch a lot of the shows there, and it's funny because I feel bad because there are people that are like, I haven't seen you guys. You guys have been around for almost 2 years. I never knew you were there. We suck at marketing, guys. I'm sorry. Like we work crazy jobs. We suck at marketing. So if you have somebody who has the same sense of humor as you, and you like the show because we say stupid things we probably shouldn't say and most shows never would, share it to a friend. Let them know about it. So, hey, I like this show. Maybe you might like it too. If not, subscribe anyway. I'll make them happy.
Yeah. And if your friend
and then
is one of those tight asses, then don't share.
Whoa. Why do you care about their butts?
I'm just saying if they're stiffs.
Perverts. Now we're talking about diamond butts now at this point. Wow.
Well then.
Anyway, change this topic real quick.
Gotta go.
All right, guys. We will get live for you guys on a Wednesday, going over all the latest Giants news. Like I said, keep an eye out because we'll be going live either Thursday or maybe just on Friday at that point to go over the game for you guys there. At least we get to finally talk about the game again. It'd be freaking spectacular.
Right? Thank goodness.
So again, guys, appreciate you guys for watching as always. And as always, Giant fans, don't you learn?
Thanks for listening to Two Giant Goofballs, a New York Giants podcast. We appreciate your support.
Thanks so much.
Please, I'm begging you. Please subscribe.